Alternatively, we've done some things, but we haven't done enough, and that's why I've taken this project on to look at this in another light. And we'll be talking more and more about this as time goes on. So this also comes about by the fact that there's a journal called the Lifestyle Medicine Journal. It comes out quarterly, and each and every time it does come out, I tend to write an article for it. I just finished an article the other night on cataracts, and it's going to be coming up in the next Lifestyle Medicine journal. It'll be out, I'm guessing, in the next couple of weeks. Look for it. It's not out there yet. When it is available, there will be free copies in my office, as well as many other of the offices and of the alternative doctors in the area, as well as many of the health food stores too. So look for that. An article I've written on cataracts, and it was because of writing that article that I felt that, you know what, I needed to bring this to everybody's attention. And so I thought that today would be the day to do it. So looking at some cataract facts and trying to bring this this topic into some focus, I like that term, sort of a double play on words. Cataracts turn out to be a big, and I mean a very big problem. It's probably going to be greater than 80 or 90% of us as we age are going to develop cataracts. Probably developing right now. They're very insidious. They're growing as we speak, and unless you're seeing an eye professional on a regular basis, they very well could be well advanced by the time they are picked up. Ultimately, however, they do affect your vision. They're the most common cause of vision loss in people over the age of 40. And it's the principal cause of blindness in the world. I guess the reason would be that third world countries can't utilize the surgical approaches that we have available to us. And so their cataracts, which literally at least could have a new lens put in place, they never get to that point. So it is the #1 leading cause of blindness worldwide. And it's greater in terms of the number of people who suffer from it than adding up all the people with glaucoma, macular degeneration, and diabetic retinopathy. All those combined don't equal the number of folks who suffer from cataracts worldwide. They say, by the way, in the United States, about 22 million Americans age 40 and older do suffer from cataracts, and we are an aging population. The baby boomers especially are now hitting that stride, and their vulnerability to developing cataracts at this point is becoming meteoric. It's estimated that the 22 million of today is going to skyrocket to 30 million and upwards by the time 2020 rolls around. That's just around the corner, folks. So what causes these cataracts? Well, this eye of ours pretty much works like a camera. There's a lens in a camera. Well, there's a lens in your eye. There's film in a camera, and in a way, there's some pretty unique film in your eye. It's called the retina, and when things are focused onto the retina, your vision is able to capture your environment and your surroundings in a very amazing way. But that lens is the aperture where the light is going to pass through on the way to focusing on your retina. And the lens is made up primarily of water and protein. And it's arranged in a precise way that keeps the lens very clear and lets light pass through it. As we age, however, some of that protein that's all congealed with the water clumps together. And as it clumps, a cloud begins to form. And initially in a very small area of the lens. But that particular cloud of proteinaceous material is what's known as a cataract. Over time, unfortunately, it doesn't stay small. Over time, it's going to grow. And it's going to continue to grow, and the cloud on the lens begins to be able to dominate and interfere with the light that's trying to pass through it on the way back to the retina. And vision will deteriorate. No one knows for sure why the lens changes are as such as we age and forming cataracts, but researchers worldwide have identified factors that may cause cataracts. There are multiple factors. Ultraviolet radiation, by the way, and this is a hot one, appears to be the number one reason why cataracts form. But there are medical conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure and obesity, and any prolonged use of steroids appears to make the lens vulnerable. Statin meds, hormone therapies. There are a bunch of things that can lead to this. It all appears to have a common pathway, however. The common pathway is oxidative damage that occurs within the lens over time. So oxidation is so commonplace in causing problems in all the other areas of the body. Who hasn't heard about free radical damage? Reactive oxygen species. This is a redundant term that keeps coming up over and over again, no matter which our conversation is involving whatever disease there are. So consequently, you wouldn't think the eye would be able to escape oxidative damages as part of the reason why so much difficulty can occur. Now, there is a way for you at this time, before ever having developed the cataract, can take charge and begin to prevent the formation of those cataracts from ever getting a foothold, ever getting a start. And as it turns out, supplementation looks like it might be a pretty good way of staving off these oxidative forms of damage. And of course, it just makes common sense. If oxidation and the damage that's provoked by oxidation is the root cause of the problem, then antioxidants would be a way to try to alleviate the problem. Well, that's exactly, in fact, what they're finding out. And that one large 10-year study of female health professionals found that higher dietary intakes of, here they come, vitamin E, which is a well-known antioxidant, the carotenoids lutein, and a special form of astaxanthin that in the eye is called zeaxanthin. That's zeaxanthin. That's zeaxanthin, which are found from foods and supplements were associated with, and here's the take-home message, significantly decreased risk of cataracts. So you can take charge of this now. And through your diet and through supplementation, as well as the avoidance of those things that absolutely can provoke the formation of cataracts and have those proteins start to clump on the lens, appears to be within your purview of being able to prevent, but you got to actually take those steps. Now, with respect to the way cataracts are treated once they develop, unfortunately the story is all too familiar, maybe even to you listening to me right now, because if you have cataracts, the scenario went something like this. You were visiting your doctor, whether that's an ophthalmologist or optometrist, for what might be your yearly physical exam, or eye exam, I guess better said. And while the doctor was looking into the back of the eye with the ophthalmoscope, he can see directly into the lens, and he actually can see the formation of that cloudy material beginning. And you may have been told by your eye doctor, look, you've got the formation of a cataract, and I know it catches you by surprise. Maybe you had no forewarning. Maybe your vision is completely unaffected at that time, but unfortunately, it will be ultimately affected, and the doctor says, look, we'll continue to monitor you, observe you, watch for the further growth, and they use a word that I think is pretty interesting called ripening. They just say the cataract isn't ripe enough yet in order to be able to be removed, and we'll keep an eye on it as time moves on to see when it's ripe enough, once again the word ripe enough, so that you can remove the cataract. And maybe that's an incorrect way of looking at it. You don't remove the cataract. You can't remove the cataract. The cataract is part of the natural lens found there. You must remove the lens. Take the entire lens out and put an artificially synthetically created lens in its place. Now, I know that sounds pretty rough, and the people that I see really wince at that point, because to think that somebody would do a surgery where they cut open the eye and be able to pull the old lens out and put a new one in, that's rough enough. And by the way, the results, surgical results, I think the numbers that I'm seeing anywhere up 90% and upwards have a successful implantation of a new lens and removing of the old, and their vision is almost restored immediately when that surgery has been undertaken. However, from that point on, by the way, there are 10%, and I've talked to them and I've met them, and it didn't go well for them, and they say worst day of their life. Wish they'd have never done it, never even considered it. And so I know 90 to 10 is a pretty good set of numbers, but you never know whether you're in a 10% category or not. And it just makes common sense that surgery shouldn't be, okay, it looks ripe enough now. Go ahead and get the surgery done. There has to be another way to be able to deal with this other than having your eye doctor tell you it's time. You need to be able to take charge. And in the conventional world, there's nothing to take charge. The only way that this is resolved, it won't be for recommendations for your diet, or at least the majority of time it won't be. It'll be, it's time to schedule you for your cataract surgery. That means you'll have the lens removed and an artificial one put in its place. Now, 90% of the time, that turns out very well. On the short run, on the short term, things go well. 10% of the time, oh boy, what a nightmare that is. And from that point forward, never really able, if you're one of those 10%, to get this thing back into a way that is manageable without you having noticeable side effects in your vision, and never fully being able to return to the kind of vision you thought you were going to be able to. So the issue though becomes long term, and I believe this is the new research that has been absent. I'm not so sure that the eye doctor community is being completely honest about everybody's increased risk once they take the old lens out and put the new lens in. So whether you're in the 90% category where things went well, or you're in the 10% category when things didn't go really well, all 100% of you are going to have an issue that maybe you weren't counting on, but the newest research absolutely reveals is part and parcel and comes with that territory, which is an increased vulnerability to developing macular degeneration. By the way, some of these studies have shown as high as 70% of the patients who have cataract surgery and remove their natural lens, 70%, will develop macular degeneration within 2 years of having the surgery. Within 2 years. Now that's a pretty ominous statistic, and it needs to be put up on the table, and you need to check me out and certainly check out your doctors who may be proposing that you have that surgery, because in the conventional world, they may have had a treatment for the cataract, but in the conventional world, there is no treatment for MACD. In the conventional world, you of course know differently, having listened to us for many, many years now talk about the Conduct program to get these things turned around. But conventionally, no, there's nothing to be done for MACD. 70% of patients develop it. Now, why is that? Why do those who have this surgery end up having to pay a price, such a hefty price, and in such high numbers, and develop a retinal disease as opposed to the lens disease, a retinal disease, which is macular degeneration? And the reason is this, that natural lens of yours has been able to filter out harmful UV light in a pretty ingenious way for all the time that that lens was in there. Even at that, if you haven't protected your eyes and have increased amounts of sunlight, you maybe have hastened along this process. But I can tell you this much, that once the natural lens is removed, whatever UV filtering was possible from your own lens, that's completely gone when you put the new lens in. These newer lenses can't filter out UV light. Therefore, the retina gets exposed to abundant amounts of ultraviolet light daily, and that over the course of 2 years, it looks as though that's the final blow. That's what leads to the deterioration of the back of the eye, the retina, in particular, forming what's known as macular degeneration. 70% is a pretty doggone high number. It needs to be considered with anyone who's considering that surgery. And I think it's the crowning bit of information that I want my listeners to be armed with, so as to be able to make the right decision for them with all the information on the table before they consent to having such a surgery. And if they so do have that surgery, at least they do it with the eyes, literally, and another one of those play on words, your eyes wide open, so that should the problem develop, at least you were made aware of it and you weren't caught by surprise. So that's the way things go with respect to conventional treatment. And the likelihood that many of us as we age are going to develop cataracts is pretty high, well into the 80-90% range, absolutely very high. And so we're all going to have to confront cataracts. Are we going to do it and intervene prematurely so as to never get to the point where someone tells us our cataract is ripe? Are we just going to wait until the day comes and it looks as though it comes for many of us and that surgery is going to be recommended, and now the statistical issues result, and maybe you're in that 70% category, maybe you're not. Hey, what if you're in that 10% that doesn't do well with the surgery at all? So cataracts do need to be dealt with. We've always felt that there was a way that we needed to be involved with this, and Dr. Condra on many occasions has been on our show talking about how he approaches the cataract issue. And of course, his 3-day treatment program. There are cataract programs that are frequency specifically modulated, and we can program the devices for. It's just that we don't get, with the frequency specific devices alone, the ability to have such a high degree of success. You know, with our retinal diseases, it's well into the 90% that things like macular degeneration and glaucoma are going to be reversible and be noticeably reversed within 3 days. This is the big, I think, plus about Ed Condrat's programs, that they have such a high degree of success in such a short period of time, and then we send folks home over the course of the next year, continually to improve them all the more. Well, as much as you can take the retinal diseases to the bank with respect of how we're able to help them, you're not able to do that with the conventional Condrat alternative program at that level. We have used for quite some time and have had success with eye drops that many of you out there who listen to me have pursued. It's a combination of DMSO, vitamin C, and glutathione, compounded for you out of a pharmacy in Utah. And we put patients on a 3-month trial. We ask them to get an evaluation by their eye doctor before they begin. And then 3 months later, utilizing these eye drops, we'll ask them to get checked again. And based on one of two things. A, if the patient says that they're seeing much better after the 3 months, to me, that's the only proof positive that counts. And the patient can continue taking those drops for as long as they want, and I'll continue to write the prescription so they can do it. There are a group of people, however, that they don't necessarily notice the improvements, in which case we fall back to plan B. If the optometrist or ophthalmologist, in looking into the eye, can absolutely detect that there is lesser amounts of these cloudy areas than were before 3 months earlier, then that's a reason to continue the eye drops. But if neither A or B happen, it's my advice that eye drops cease and a plan B has to go into effect. I believe we're emerging with a plan B that will enable us to have the similar results as we have had with the retinal diseases, as as we now have on the precipice of being able to offer those with cataracts through what we're referring to as the Cataract Clinic coming up in the month of May. If you think you'd like to be a part of it, a couple of things to do. Number one, you can attend a free seminar I'm going to hold in my office. It's going to be on the 4th of May. That's a Monday at 7 o'clock in the evening. Come on in. Give us a call here at 724-942-3002 so I can discuss the new cataract program that will be held in May. The dates that we will hold it will be 18, 19, 20, and 21. It is a 4-day treatment program, 4-day cataract program. It's unlike our 3-day Ed Conrad program. Anyway, 4 days, 18, 19, 20, 21. Be happy to explain all of this to you and give you the opportunity to ask me questions on Monday, May 4th. Once again, give us a call at 724-942-3002. Talk to Sister Sarah, and she'll save a seat for you. As many people are as afflicted with cataracts and aren't getting the benefit, whether that's certainly conventionally, they don't want that surgery, or if it's not worked well and tried the drops and you're not in the category of people who've got an improvement, you'll want to consider entering the Cataract Clinic to get those resolved. Now, just to list out, and I'm not going to describe them in any great detail, I'm just going to go down through a list of all the modalities that we'll be using in the Cataract Clinic, and I'll be talking about each one of these to a great extent on the 4th if you want to know more about it. But the very first component must be a optometric evaluation. Dr. Lisa Bowen will be involved with our patients here. You may have your own doctor be your assessor, that's fine, but it's got to be an assessment done right at the beginning of the cataract clinic. So you can see your doctor or see mine, but we want to have a professional opinion on what the status of those cataracts are on day one. By the way, we also want to have the opinion of what the status of those cataracts are on day 4. And it should be from the same doctor who was looking at you before you started that can determine what they see in the lens at the completion. So optometric or ophthalmologic assessments, absolutely important. Number 1, heavy metal testing needs to be done. Dr. Ed Conrad has always said that cataracts are the buildup of toxic substances on the lens. And oftentimes those toxic substances are heavy metals. And he claims, and as it turns out, he's been able to back up that lead, more than likely, is the number 1 metal involved. We've got to find out which metals are involved with your particular situation. A unique scanning device called an oligoscan, which I hope to be able to present to you in an up-and-coming show, will be able to do just that and do it immediately, sparing us the need for any elaborate testing done at home and then having to wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks for to get the results back. Also, there's going to be a trace mineral testing, and the ability to replace those trace minerals will actually be a method of chelating the heavy metals. More about that on the conference. That alone is worth coming to the conference to find out how to do that. There'll be IVs used here, high-dose IV vitamin C, Myers cocktail, and hydrogen peroxide therapy will be utilized. There'll be an assessment of your ability to perfuse the back of the eye and the lens. We'll be doing MCG testing, which is multifunctional cardiogramming, to give me an idea of the status of your heart and how well it squeezes. Frequency-specific microcurrent will be used, but you will not, I repeat, you will not have to purchase these units prior to beginning as you do with the Conrad program. We'll let you utilize our devices and have them programmed so that you get their benefit. If it should turn out that it's extremely helpful for you, that's another matter, and you may want to consider purchasing, but you do not have to purchase in order to be able to be involved with the program. And then finally, and I believe this is the new addition to the program, you're going to be driving a Beamer, which means a device, an electronic device called the Beamer. That's BEMER, that has the ability to really get these cataracts reversed. I think it's the final piece of the puzzle, and that's where Todd Wiley is going to be very, very important to you in describing how well it's worked for him out there in Washington. He's got a particular podcast on YouTube, which he describes. I think it's 26 or 36. Anyway, when you say 26, the last 26 patients that he had evaluated with cataracts, 23 of the 26 had their cataracts significantly improved with a minor number of treatments. So the Beamer, I believe, is the new piece of the puzzle, the solution to the puzzle, that is, and certainly will be what we talk about considerably when we meet. Come on to that seminar. Learn more about cataracts. If you are afflicted with cataracts, or you have someone that you know is afflicted with cataracts, and you want to take charge of this to avoid that surgery, maybe it's just looming far down the road. But unfortunately, if your vision is affected, it's affecting you now. You may not have a ripe enough cataract in order to be sent to surgery. And I think that's a plus, okay? Because when it's ripe enough, you will have to have that lens removed. In the conventional world, that's the only treatment that's available. And there are problems long-term from getting that vision rectified so rapidly when you get a good result, but there are problems, as I've told you today. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, I'll open it up if you want to call in and make a comment. Could be on eyes, could be on anything. The number to do that, 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. The subject has been cataracts, and the up-and-coming cataract clinic will be right back in a moment. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here on KHP 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today in a Wednesday morning version of the show. The subject has been cataracts. The reason, a couple reasons. One, just finished an article going to be appearing in Lifestyle Medicine. It's not out yet. Don't look for it just yet, but I guess it's up and coming in the next couple of weeks. We'll have multiple copies here for those, and they're free. Multiple copies here if you have a mind, do want to get a copy of it. They're also going to be found at many of the health food stores throughout the area. Lifestyle Medicine, that's Sven Hosford's wonderful work. We've been involved with each and every one of the editions since its inception, and usually write an article per edition. This particular article was written by me just the other night on cataracts, and I thought it was going to be beneficial to share with you that which I learned, and I think bringing that to you has always been my policy. And then, too, with the up-and-coming commitment to develop a program to reverse cataract formation. that we'll affectionately refer to as the Cataract Clinic. That'll be coming up in the month of May. The particular dates are 18, 19, 20, and 21 of May. If you're interested in the program, or if you'd like to maybe attend a seminar to find out if you're interested in the program, the number to do that is 724-942-3002. You want to talk to Sister Sarah, and in either case, whether it's seminar or the clinic or both, she'll be able to direct you in there to get the result. Now, we got a knock on the door. Why don't you come on the store? Hello, welcome aboard. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
Hi, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
My question is in relationship to the information about development of macular after cataract surgery for like that 70%.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding is that there's also a genetic component into whether somebody gets or, might get or might not get macular. Do you know, like, that 70% statistic, what's, like, correlation between those folks that are genetically predisposed?
Well, the only way I can answer the question directly is for those who don't have or don't get cataract surgery, there's about a 20% factor of the general population that get macular degeneration to the point where their vision really suffers, and unfortunately, in the conventional world, nothing to be done about it there. So,
regardless, those folks are regardless of whether or not they even have cataract.
That's right. Whether they had cataracts or not, there's a 20% factor out there of patients who are going to develop it, meaning macular degeneration. Now, you take those who had cataracts and then went and got the surgery and find out that pretty small population compared to the total has a 70% increase in the development of MACD. I'm going to imagine their genetic proclivities and predisposition play a role. What the heck? Everything plays a role, and if you had that genetic potential, you're just going to be able to manifest it to a greater extent when your filtration system for ultraviolet light is removed. And that is what has been ascribed to be the real cause for why such a high percentage of people get affected within 2 years. That's pretty quick, by the way. Within 2 years of having a surgery, that's doggone quick. Yeah, I'm going to say genetics more than likely plays a role, but the loss of your filter plays a larger role.
Yes. I wonder, too, for those folks that, because they have the genetic, like, would it be wise for them to find that out, with some genetic testing? Do they have more of a tendency towards this? And, but that statistic is so high, and how come we haven't heard that before?
Yeah, why aren't you getting this from the conventional medical community? Well, in a way, it's just the way it is, isn't it? I mean, the conventional medical community is not coming out with the bad news because they only have this one thing. You can't take their only trick pony away. They only have one thing to use to treat it, and that's surgery. How in the heck can they muddy up the waters, I'm supposing now, and bring that element into the mindset of people who have to head to surgery, and that what they're going to tell them is, oh, by the way, yeah, you got to have the surgery, but hey, 70% of you might get MACD afterwards. Politically, economically, it doesn't work, and those are my two best answers to the question. It's politics and it's economics. Otherwise, everybody should have known about it, and they don't.
The other factor, I think, too, the UV light is so important for the health of the eye.
Yeah, absolutely you need that light, but of course you need the filtration to prevent the retina from getting it full blast. I have a doctor who is an eye doctor and one of my patients, and he tells his patients who say he has sent to get the surgery, he goes, by the way, I know you're told that you might not need your glasses anymore, but get ready for this. You will be wearing glasses when you get done with this surgery. It may just be clear glass, but it's got to filter out those UV light. You have to wear protection of some type, glasses that you really need, or glasses that only have fake lenses in them but are able to filter out the light. Anyway, thank you.
I have to go. I wonder, though, if the fact that more people wear sunglasses because they've been told that sun causes cataracts, which I don't agree with. I wonder if there isn't an increased incidence of cataracts because people, protect their eyes from healthy UV light.
Who knows? Great questions to pose. Thank you very much for your call.
Thank you.
There you have it, folks. Bill with the chopsticks in the background. He ruined it. He just said it's time out of here. So I look forward to seeing you on Friday. By the way, Sharon Bovalin is our guest. Young living is going to be the discussion, essential oils, and how you use them in place of medicines. I think it's a great topic. See you on Friday. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AIM Impact on Your Health.